yogis. This is your first installment for practicing at home, developing a home practice. So I'm here to guide you through what I would consider an opening of a class or of a practice at home. So it's some movements that are on the floor, opening up the legs and the chest, and then we progress to hands and knees. There is one downward facing dog, and then we'll stand up and do some half sun salutations, and then a little lunging flow. So it's always best to have your props ready, a blanket, a strap, a bolster is always nice if you have one. If not, it's not necessary. And 2 blocks. I leave my mat open and out in my office, so I go there first thing in the morning and I start just the way I'm going to start now. And then I progress through more opening poses and then through a more vigorous practice, which we will build on week by week. So let's start with a chest opener. If you're using a blanket, you can open it up to the medium width and you can roll it. And there are 2 ways to use the blanket that I can think of. I'm sure there are more. Or you can use a bolster, same idea. With the blanket, you can set it up so that it follows the line of your spine, or you can set it up sideways and put it underneath your shoulder blades. Let's demonstrate those 2. So if you're doing it this way, it's very nice because the shoulders fall open. Your hips stay on the floor and your back body lays down and your head is supported nicely. So scoot a little bit away so that the low back curve is not on the blanket. So there's about 3 inches between your hips and the blanket. And then you can rest your arms out to the sides. So following the line of the spine is nice because it allows the chest to open and the shoulders to be free. If you're using the blanket sideways, you'll want something under the back of your head so that your chin doesn't lift way up. And here you organize yourself so that your shoulder heads are over the blanket and your chest is lifted. So the arms are free, the shoulder heads are dropping down. And then the third thing that I can think of is to use 2 blocks, one underneath the shoulder blades, pretty far down, but not in the low back curve, and one under the back of the head. And there are 3 levels to the block. It can be the lowest, the medium, or the high. I like the medium for both blocks, and as I lay back on them, I'm careful to line it up under the tips of the shoulder blades. So lifting up and over, and then making sure there's a block to support the back of my head, and now my chest is lifted and open. As far as the legs go, you can keep your knees bent, feet on the floor. That always feels best to me. You could tap the knees together. You can straighten your legs out all the way. You could bend the knees and take the knees out to the sides with the soles of the feet together. You could cross your shins like you're sitting up in Sukhasana. And then halfway through, you have to remember to switch which shin is in front. So pick what works best for you and relax for a minute and feel the expansiveness of the chest. Feel the shoulder blades lifting into your body and feel the shoulder heads dropping back in space. Notice how wide the collarbones are. So you're really reversing all the forward movement that we do with computers and texting and driving and cooking. Everything is forward and the chest tends to round forward. So this is a nice opportunity to open the chest. And then to start with the shoulders, to open the shoulders, bring your hands straight up toward the ceiling and press your palms together. Then bend the elbows and press the elbows to touch and rest your hands at your forehead. Next, you reach overhead. Your hands can be as far apart as feels good for your shoulders, but do have your thumbs facing the ground. And then open up the chest, sweep the arms around like angel wings. And connecting the movement with the breath, breathe in, press your palms. Breathe out, bend your elbows, elbows touch. Breathe in, reach behind. Again, separate your arms as much as you need. Thumbs face the floor. And as you exhale, sweep around. Inhale, reach up, palms press. Exhale, elbows touch. Rest your hands at your forehead. Breathe in, reach behind. And exhale, sweep around. Let's do one more. Inhale, palms press. Exhale, forearms press, elbows touch. Inhale, reach overhead. And exhale, angel wings. The next thing is going to be a twist. I enjoy it on blocks or my props, but you may not. So as you do this, go very slowly and evaluate how far to go in the pose, and maybe you should come off of your props. Arms out to the side to start. Walk your feet across your mat so they're on the edges of the mat. And then very slowly, so you're aware of what you're feeling in your low back, and again, being aware of being on the props or not, start to drop the right knee to the right, don't move your feet, and the left knee follows along. So notice if this is tweaking your low back or if the blocks or the props are digging into you, take them out. So gaze to the left, your knees are going to the right, and if you want a little bit more stretch, take your left arm over your head, right arm can reach to the back wall as well. So I'm reaching the top of my left thigh forward, my left hip is coming up a little bit, and I'm getting a stretch along my left underarm, and I'm getting a stretch along my entire left side. And again, if it feels okay on your neck, turn your head to the left. To come up, engage your abdominals, and then switch sides. Left knee goes over, right knee follows, turning your head opposite the knees, and then your arms can go across as well. Reaching the top of your right thigh forward, lifting your right hip up. So engage your abdominals to come up. Make sure you don't hurt your low back. And then put your forearms on the floor, tuck your chin, lift up, and take the props out, if they're still there. Next, we're going to do shape 4, sometimes called half pigeon on your back. Take your strap in case you want to use it. Bring your feet on the floor and press the tops of your thighs away, right at the hip crease. So make some space, you'll get a little low back stretch. And then cross your right ankle over your left knee. You can stay here. You could lift your left knee towards your chest. You could use a strap to draw the leg closer. You could also use your hands going through the triangle, holding on to the left leg behind the knee, drawing the knee in closer. Spread your toes, reach through the ball of the foot. If you want to go deeper yet, you could hold on to the front of the leg, drawing in even closer. So in this pose, you want to try and use your mind to move your right knee away. And it'll deepen the pose, it'll change the pose if you start to move a little bit towards your left. So it's as though you're taking the sole of your foot a little bit toward the floor. You can play with these ideas, hunting and pecking to see what feels best. So when you draw the knee all the way in, your low back rounds, you can test that out. Or taking the hips a little bit forward and finding your low back curve. And unwind the legs, feet down to the floor. Make space again, press the tops of the thighs away. And and start with crossing ankle, knee. Maybe that's enough of a stretch right there. Or taking the strap around the back of the right leg, drawing the knee in towards your chest with your strap. Another option is to use your hands behind the back of the right leg. Trying to draw the left knee forward, a little deepening of the stretch, and maybe taking your left foot 1 inch closer to the floor. So trying out different ways of doing the pose with a little bit of movement will change how the stretch feels. And then of course you could go deeper if you want, hugging in further. And now the low back curve is erased. You could try and bring the low back curve back. So it's a little bit of playing around, noticing the sensations, and then moving according to what is best for you. So that's shape 4 stretch. And now we'll take a twist. And there's 3 options for your twist. There's A, B, and C. A, bend your right knee, put your sole of your foot on the floor. Take your right hand behind, take both hands behind for now. That's A. B, your right foot goes outside your left leg. So only what feels comfortable, if you can keep both sit bones on the floor. C, most challenging, is to lean out on the left, bend your left knee, and take the heel in towards your glute. Taking the right hand behind, the left arm is going to hug the knee in towards your body, no matter which position you're in. Lift the chest up, lift the sternum, and then use your inner corset to revolve the chest. Turn to the right. Looking over the right shoulder if it feels comfortable. So this is C, this is B, and this is A. And then unwind yourself and do side B. Now, with the left leg bent, start here to see how that feels, because each side of the body is different. Crossing over, going to twist B, and then C, leaning out to the side, bending the knee and taking the heel in towards your outer hip. And now the right arm hugs, the left hand goes behind. Lift the chest up and use your inner body to rotate the chest. Take a breath in and lengthen, lifting the heart. And as you exhale, twist. So you can look over the left shoulder, you can look straight ahead, or look over to the right. So twisting is essential for a healthy spine, only going as deep as you should. Now we're going to go on hands and knees for cat-cow. This gives you an opportunity to roll through the spine and give all the vertebrae a chance to move. If you like to use a blanket under your knees, go ahead and set that up. Hands under shoulders. If your wrists bother you, you can take your mat about a foot or more away from the edge, lift it up, and double it up. So then when you put your hands on the edge of the mat, your wrists have a little bit less of an angle, so that might feel better on your wrists. Press your hands down and press them forward so that you feel your abdominals engage. Press your knees down and press them away from each other sideways, and you'll feel your outer hips engage. As you breathe in, lift the chest, lift the hips, and as you exhale, round your spine, drop the tailbone, let the head drop. You can be on the balls of the feet, inhale, lift up, or you can be on the tops of the feet, exhale, round. 2 more times, inhale, rolling through the spine, and exhale, round. This time initiating from the hips. Hips move first, lift the tailbone, roll through the spine, lift the chest, and then tuck the tailbone under and round. And then come to a flat back. We're going to do downward facing dog, so you won't need the blanket. Hands can be as wide as your mat, little finger touching the edge, or they can be a little bit closer. Don't have them any closer than your shoulders. So I like it a little bit wider. With my index finger forward, that gives me enough opening in the shoulders so that there's an external rotation. So index finger forward works with most people, but you could take even the webbing between index and thumb forward so that your shoulders are comfortable. Stand on the balls of the feet and lift your hips up and back. Let your head be heavy. Take your feet as wide as you need and have a distance between your feet and your hands that your spine feels long. Go ahead and drop your body weight into your shoulders as opposed to pressing away and bringing your ears way up to your shoulders. So lean into the hands, press your hands down and forward, and bend your right knee and sink your left heel toward the floor. Take a breath here as you hug all the muscles of the straight leg toward the bones so that it is an aligned stretch. And remember, you can be doing this with your hands on the folded mat if that bothers your wrists. Then switch sides. Sink the right heel, the straight leg, hug all the muscles to the bones, leaning your weight into your hands as you press your hands down and forward. Lifting the sit bones up, spine is long, head is heavy. And then releasing downward dog, coming onto your shins, sweep one leg forward, hands to the thighs if you like, ball of back foot, lift up, stand up. We're going to go to the top of the mat. I have a feeling my arms might be out of the video, but you know that I'm lifting them up. Put your blocks, tall as they can be, at the top of the mat. We're going to start off with a side bend. I'm going to turn to face you for this. Press your feet down, a little tiny bend in the knees. Press your feet down and away from each other so it feels like you're stretching the mat. Good. Zip up the core, head is on top. Reach your left arm up. You're going to reach across, stretching the left side of your body. Press your left foot down. You could do this by holding the wrist if you'd like. Right hand holds left wrist. And then to come up, engage your core muscles to come up and switch sides. So the right arm is way up, little bend in the knees, stretch the mat between the feet, lean over to the left, press the right foot down. Again, you could be clasping if you like. And use your abdominals to lift up. That'll keep it out of the low back. And then turn to face, if you've turned to the front, turn to face your blocks, standing with your feet in line with your blocks. Bring your hands to your glutes or even a little lower. Roll the shoulders up, draw your elbows together, lift the heart up. This is camel pose, standing camel, back bend. Shoulder blades are pressing into your spine and lifting up. And then bend your knees, send your hips back so you're in a flat back. Release your hands to your blocks, let your head drop, and straighten your legs as much as you would like. Lift your chest up halfway, bend your knees enough so that you feel long in the spine and not rounding the low back. And then one more time, drop the chest, the head, stretch your legs. To come up, bend your knees, lift up part way. Today, press your hands on your thighs so you feel that you have a flat back. You're not rounding, long spine. And then press up to stand, reach up, and arms down. So when you reach up over your head, turn your palms out so that when you come up, the palms face each other. That's a nicer way for the shoulder to come up. The other way can be compression in the shoulder if your palms are facing down. So let's do half sun salutation. Standing up tall, stretch the mat between the feet. You feel your outer hips, you'll feel your glutes. Zip up the core, reach up, breathe in. As you exhale, bend the knees, go through a flat spine, and then touch down, drop your head, stretch your legs. Breathe in, flat back position, and exhale the breath out and fold. Bend your knees, hands to thighs, flat back. press up to stand up, you are stretching the mat between your feet and arms down. One more like that. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, flat back, touch down, drop the head, stretch. Flat back again, breathe in, and exhale, forward bend. Knees bend, stretch the mat, flat back, breathe, reach up, and arms down. So we'll do a half sun salutation. We'll touch the blocks. We're going to step the right foot way back to what I call runner's lunge, and then you bring your blocks back under your shoulders. We're going to almost tap the back knee, lift the chest, and then we're going to straighten the front leg, reach the back heel toward the floor. We'll do a few of those. So start standing. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward bend, going through a flat back. Drop the head, stretch the legs. Pull the chest forward, breathe in. Right leg steps way back, down the mat. You're on the ball of the back foot. Front foot is flat. Bring your blocks underneath your shoulders. As you breathe in, almost tap the back knee, lift the chest. And as you breathe out, straighten your left leg, reach your right heel toward the floor. And again, inhale, come forward, almost tap. Exhale, up and back, straighten the left leg. Inhale, forward, almost tap. Straighten the left leg. This time, lift the ball of the front foot so you stretch the calf and Achilles. Let's do one more, just like that. Bend the front knee, almost tap. Straighten the leg, up and back you go. Lift the ball of the left foot. Bend the knee, breathe in. Step all the way forward and fold. Bend your knees, stretch the mat, come all the way up. And arms down. Side B, inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward bend. Flat back, inhale. Left leg way back, runner's pose. Blocks under shoulders. You're on the ball of the back foot. As you breathe in, lengthen the spine, almost tap, lift the chest. As you exhale, straighten the right leg, reach your left heel toward the floor. Inhale, come forward, almost tap. And exhale, up and back. Inhale, forward, almost tap. Up and back. This time, lift the ball of the right foot so you're just on the heel. One more like that. Bend the knee, almost tap. And straighten the right leg. Lift the ball of the right foot. Bend the knee, inhale. Step forward and fold. Stretch the mat between the feet to rise up. And arms down. All right, we'll do one more pose for today, Z pose. So we'll go back down onto the floor. Bring your blocks, sit on your right thigh, and square your front shin parallel to the front of your mat, and your outer hip aligned with the edge of your mat, the long edge. Tap your left knee just a little bit back. So this might be enough of a stretch for you here. If you want more, you want to go deeper, you can bring your arms forward and you can rest them on blocks. You can also take this pose a little bit out to the right if that feels better or less intense. The deeper pose is over the front shin, and the deepest you could go would be not to have blocks under your arms, but I do recommend a block to rest your head on. So staying for a good 5 breaths, nice and slow. Deepening the pose yet again would be to take your left leg all the way back behind you. You can be on the ball of the back foot, or you can let the leg rest. So relax your shoulders, relax your head, your jaw. You can waggle the jaw. As you breathe, take a long, slow breath in, pausing at the top, and then a slow breath out. And a pause at the bottom. And again, breathing in through the nose, nice and slow, pause, And breathe out, nice and slow, and pause. Check in again with your shoulders. Make sure that your jaw is loose. Your head is relaxed, your neck is relaxed. So this is a very passive pose. You're not working to stretch, you're letting gravity do its work. So go ahead and lift up. You can stay longer if you like. And the way you stay longer to keep your sides even is just count how many breaths you take. Take the same amount on the other side. So swing your left leg around, tap your right knee back. Adjust yourself so that your front shin is parallel with the front of the mat and your thigh is parallel with the side of the mat. Start out high before you go down because both sides are different. And it might be less enjoyable on one side than the other. So maybe you tap the right knee back a little. Maybe you stay up high. Maybe you go down on your blocks, forearms. Maybe you take it out to the side. That gives you a less intense pose. Or no blocks, just one for under the head. Last piece, if you want to intensify this or go deeper, you can take the right leg back all the way. So you can be on the ball of the foot, you can be on the shoelace part of your foot, or let the foot just rest out to the side. And then again, you check in with your shoulders, your neck, waggle the jaw. So this is my tighter side, and I feel like I'm falling over to the left because I am. So sometimes I take my hand out to the side and just give myself a little support to keep me straight over the front leg. So there are ways to modify this pose to meet your needs. If you're falling over to one side, you can put your forearm down. You could take your whole self over to the side. So again, it's a little bit of hunting and pecking to find your way so that the pose feels just right and you're getting a stretch that is useful and productive. And then go ahead and lift up. You have a choice. You can stop right here or you can lay down and rest in Shavasana, which has a purpose as well. So there are some things you can do in Shavasana. My preference is to take one block behind each thigh and then lay down. You could also build a pyramid. You could, I think they call this Stonehenge, and then you put the backs of your legs up there, and that looks like this. Or you could take this bolster. So first, if you don't have a bolster, you'll use the blocks. You could also put a blanket across, not as steady, but if you roll it nice and tight. There are a number of ways to take Shavasana, and one of them is to have nothing. You could take Shavasana the way you opened, with something under your spine. You could take Shavasana with a bolster underneath your legs. So any way you like to do it, lift your chest up and draw your shoulder blades underneath you. Rock the head a little side to side to free up the neck. And then just adjust anything that doesn't feel quite right. Move a prop, fix an article of clothing. Take one more deep breath in, intentional breath. And then release all the air out. And take rest. Allow yourself a little bit of time to incorporate how you feel. Stay as long as you like. For me, after I do my morning little bit of yoga, I generally don't take a rest because I feel invigorated and I'm ready to start my day. When I do a full practice, I always take Shavasana. All right, that's it for today. Good luck. Take yourself to your mat. Celebrate well-being, and we'll move on to week 2.